I want you to understand something this night, something so simple, so absolute, so utterly final in its nature, that once it settles within you, you will never again look upon the outer world with the eyes of a beggar. You have been told that the universe is vast, that it operates by laws beyond your comprehension, that you must earn its gifts through the sweat of labor, through the persistence of effort, through the accumulation of worthy deeds. And I tell you now, not unkindly, but with complete certainty, that this is the deepest sleep into which a man can fall. It is the dream within the dream. And you are here at this very moment, because somewhere within you, the sleeper is beginning to stir. The universe does not give you what you want. It has never given anyone what they wanted. The universe, in its absolute faithfulness, in its infinite precision, gives you what you are. It gives you what you assume. It mirrors back, without judgment, without favoritism, without the slightest deviation, the exact quality of consciousness you have chosen to inhabit. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. This is the structure of reality itself. And so I ask you not what do you want, but what do you believe yourself to be? Because in the answer to that question lies the whole of your life. Every relationship, every condition, every limitation, every abundance, all of it, without exception, is the outer garment of your inner assumption. The world you see is not happening to you. It is happening from you. It is pressing out from the invisible center of your own being and clothing itself in the material world so that you might look upon your own consciousness and recognize what you have silently decreed to be true. This is what Moses understood when he removed his sandals at the burning bush. The ground upon which he stood was holy, not because of where he was, but because of what he was in the presence of. He stood before his own I am. He stood before the one name that cannot be argued with, the one identity that precedes every condition. I am. Before Abraham was, I am. Not I was, not I will be. I am present. Absolute prior to all conditions, the cause behind every effect that has ever appeared in this world. You are that I am. And every time you complete that declaration, every time you say, I am poor, I am unloved, I am afraid, I am unworthy, you are clothing your unconditioned God self in the garment of limitation. You are speaking creation into being, not knowing that you are the creator. The method the world is searching for, the technique, the formula, the secret practice, is not found in ritual. It is not found in repetition alone. It is found in assumption. Pure, unwavering, inhabited assumption. You must become, in your imagination, the one you desire to be, not in some future moment when conditions permit, but now, inwardly now. And you must occupy that state not as a visitor passing through, but as a resident who has forgotten any other home. This is the whole of the law. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not the wish, not the wanting, the fulfillment. You must cross from the state of desire into the state of possession, from I want into I have, from I hope into I know, from the outer court of longing into the Holy of Holies, the inward place where your imagination and your conviction have become one flame. And here is what most people do not understand, what most people have never been told. The moment you inhabit the new state, you must relinquish the old one. This is the secret within the secret. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot hold the feeling of poverty while imagining wealth. You cannot carry the self-image of a rejected person while assuming you are beloved. These two states cannot coexist in the same chamber of consciousness. One will always consume the other. And whichever one you feed, whichever one you return to in the quiet of your inner world, that is the one that will harden into the facts of your life. To enter the new state, you must release the old man. Paul understood this. He wrote not as a theologian, but as a metaphysician of the highest order when he said, "Put off the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt." He was not speaking of morality. He was speaking of identity. He was telling you that the self you have been wearing, that familiar, comfortable, limiting version of yourself that the world has confirmed and your history has reinforced, that self must be consciously set aside, not fought against, not argued with, not analyzed into dissolution. Simply set aside. You close your eyes, you enter the silence. You become, in imagination, the new man. And you feel it, you inhabit it, you let it become as natural as breathing. This is what it means to be born again. Not a religious ceremony, not a doctrinal conversion, a radical inward shift of identity. The caterpillar does not become the butterfly by effort. It becomes it by a complete surrender of what it was. It enters the dark silence of the chrysalis, and in that dissolution, in that formless, unknown passage, it emerges as something that could not have been predicted from its former state. You must enter that chrysalis. You must allow the old assumptions to dissolve. And you must trust not with the nervous trust of someone hoping for the best, but with the absolute trust of one who understands the law, who knows that consciousness never fails to externalize itself, who knows that the inner vision always becomes the outer fact. Now, I know what you are thinking, because every person who has sat before these truths has thought it. You are looking at your outer circumstances. You are looking at the evidence. You are holding up the facts of your present condition as proof that what I am telling you cannot be. And I say to you gently, but without hesitation, that this is precisely the trap. This is the ancient error. You are judging by appearances. And the moment you judge by appearances, you give power to appearances. You make of them a god. You bow down to the visible and forget the invisible, from which all visible things proceed. Your circumstances are not your truth. Your circumstances are the echo of a former assumptions. They are yesterday's prayer, answered with perfect faithfulness. If they do not please you, do not fight them. Do not resist them. Do not complain of them to others, giving them further reality in your speech and in your attention. Simply recognize them for what they are, old states that you once inhabited, and turn your face inward to the new. The heavens that Scripture speaks of are not above you, they are within you. The kingdom of God is within you, not approaching, not coming in some future dispensation, not available only to the sanctified, within you, now. The power to transform every condition of your life is not outside you, not waiting on the approval of fate or fortune or the opinions of other men. It is housed in the one faculty you possess that is more powerful than any circumstance, your imagination. Your imagination is not a toy. It is not a pastime for dreamers and poets, though dreamers and poets have known its secret better than most. Your imagination is the very substance of God. When you imagine, you are not pretending. You are creating. You are doing the work of the divine. Blake saw it. He wrote of the divine imagination not as a figure of speech, but as the literal God, of which the outer world is the shadow. The world of imagination is the world of eternity, he declared. And he was right. The events you imagine with feeling and conviction do not remain imagined. They descend, they crystallize, they appear as the solid facts of your temporal experience. This is the alchemy. This is the mystery, the ancient schools, encoded in symbol and parable, because they understood that the masses, confronted with such absolute power, would misuse it in ignorance. But you are not in ignorance, not any longer. You are awake to this, and with awakening comes responsibility, not burden, but the deep, quiet responsibility of one who knows they are the author of their own experience. Here is what you must do, not tomorrow, not when you have prepared sufficiently. Now, in this very hour, in the privacy of your own inner world, you must ask yourself, who would I be if the desire were already fulfilled? Not what would I do, not what would I have, who would I be, what would be my inner tone, what assumption would rest so naturally within me that I would not think to question it. What would I take for granted in this new state? Because what you take for granted is your true assumption. It is the assumption that operates below the level of intention, below the level of affirmation, in the deep, unhurried basement of your being. It is the assumption that the outer world answers. Find that feeling, not the excited feeling of one who has just discovered something wonderful and is still a little surprised by it. The quiet feeling, the settled feeling, the feeling of one who simply knows. As a man knows his own name, as a woman knows the face of her beloved, that undramatic, bone-deep knowing, that is the assumption that moves worlds. Sleep in it. Let the last image before unconsciousness take you be the image of the fulfilled state. For sleep is the outer edge of consciousness, and what you carry into that threshold, you offer to the deeper creative self, the subconscious. The Father, call it what you will, who receives your offering, and, faithful as the earth that returns bread from the seed cast into it, returns it to you as the harvest of your experience. This is the method, not extraordinary, not complex, not requiring equipment or intermediaries or the approval of any external authority. You are your own authority. You are your own priest. You are your own God in the deepest, most precise, most literal sense of that word. Not in blasphemy, but in the ancient revelation that the scriptures have always carried for those with eyes to see. Ye are gods, not shall be, are. And the universe, this vast, responsive, endlessly faithful mirror, it has never withheld anything from you. It cannot. It does not know how. It has only ever reflected your own assumption back to you with perfect accuracy. What appeared to be its refusal was always your own unconscious decree. What appeared to be its cruelty was always the outer fact of an inner belief you had not yet examined. What appeared to be its favor was always the outer bloom of an inner assumption you had, perhaps without knowing it, chosen to inhabit. You are not at the mercy of the universe. You are the universe, dreaming itself into specific form through the instrument of your consciousness. And when you wake within the dream, when you understand that the dreamer and the dream are one, you will never again petition an external power. You will never again wait upon circumstance to be favorable before you dare to be who you truly are. You will turn inward. You will assume. You will feel the reality of the new state. You will release the old. And then you will watch, not anxiously, not desperately checking for signs, but with the calm certainty of one who has planted a seed in good soil, knowing that the harvest is already guaranteed by the nature of the law itself. Creation is finished. The scriptures say this, and on the seventh day God ended his work. All things that shall ever appear already exist as states of consciousness. The wealthy version of you exists. The loved version of you exists. The healed, the free, the joyful, the fully expressed version of you exists not as a future to be created, but as a present state to be entered. You do not build that reality. You select it. You occupy it. You inhabit it in imagination until the outer world has no choice but to conform. This is the everlasting law. It was given not to a chosen few, but to every being who draws breath. For every being who draws breath possesses consciousness, and consciousness is the only creator there is. The outer world is effect. Consciousness is cause. And when you move the cause, when you shift the inner assumption, the effect must change. It cannot remain the same. It is held in place only by the persistence of the former state. And the moment that state is genuinely abandoned, the outer world begins, silently and inevitably, to rearrange itself around the new assumption. Do not tell others what you are doing. Let your prayer be secret. The fig tree was cursed, not for its fruitlessness, but for its spectacle, without substance, leaves without fruit, appearance without inner reality. Do not announce the new state. Inhabit it. Wear it quietly. Let it grow in the dark, as all seeds grow in the dark, unseen, unhurried, doing its perfect work beneath the surface of the visible world until the moment of its appearing, which will arrive not as a surprise to you, for you knew, but as a confirmation of what you had already accepted as true within. This is the whole mystery. This is the gospel, the good news that has always been available, that has never once been withheld, that lives inside you now as it has always lived inside you, waiting not for your effort, not for your worthiness, not for the alignment of favorable conditions, but for your simple, sovereign, unhesitating willingness to assume it is done. It is done. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it shall be yours. Not will be, have received, past tense. The fulfillment precedes the appearance. The inner conviction precedes the outer evidence. The assumption precedes the fact. This is the order. This has always been the order. And the moment you align yourself with this order, the moment you stop reversing it, stop waiting for outer proof before granting yourself inner certainty, the whole of creation will conspire. With the quiet, irresistible force of law, to bring into your world the harvest of your assumption. You are not small. You have never been small. The smallness was a garment, a belief worn so long it felt like skin, but it was never your nature. Your nature is the I am. Your nature is the dreamer behind the dream. Your nature is the consciousness in which all worlds appear and disappear like images upon a screen, while the screen itself remains untouched, unchanged, the silent, absolute ground of being. Know this, not as a philosophy, not as a comfort, as an operative truth that changes how you hold yourself in the quiet of your own inner world. Assume, feel, release, rest, and know with the calm, complete, unshakable knowing of one who has remembered what was never truly forgotten, that the universe has already said yes. It could not say otherwise. It never could. That has always been the only answer it knows how to give.